0412 hours local time, the last remaining major bridge linking mainland Russia to occupied Crimea shook violently under a thunderous explosion that echoed across the Kerch Strait. For months, Russian commanders had treated Crimea as an impregnable fortress, a vital rear base packed with troops, ammunition, and supplies. But in one coordinated night of fury, Ukraine opened the gates of hell. The final critical bridge was destroyed, severing the primary supply artery, while waves of FPV drones slammed into key weapon storage depots across the peninsula. Now thousands of Russian soldiers and their equipment are effectively stranded on the island, facing a relentless drone campaign with no easy way out. Ukrainian military planners had prepared this operation for weeks with surgical precision. Intelligence teams mapped every vulnerable point on the bridge using satellite imagery, drone reconnaissance, and ground sources. Engineers prepared a mix of long-range strike assets, including advanced cruise missiles and specialized drone swarms, while logistics teams prepositioned forward control units along the southern front. The strategy was twofold. First, isolate Crimea by destroying the bridge. Second, exploit the chaos by hitting ammunition and weapon depots before Russian forces could react. Everything was timed for maximum shock, a simultaneous hammer blow that would strand an entire army group while destroying their means to fight back. The operation began under the cover of darkness. A flight of Ukrainian long-range strike drones and missiles approached the bridge from multiple vectors, skimming low over the waves to evade early detection. Russian air defenses on the bridge and surrounding areas were on high alert after previous incidents, but the sheer coordination of the attack stretched them thin. As the first missiles struck support pillars in the roadway, massive explosions ripped through the structure. Concrete and steel twisted violently. Secondary blasts from fuel or ammunition on the bridge added to the carnage, sending debris cascading into the sea below. Within minutes, the last functional major link to the mainland was rendered unusable for heavy military traffic. At the exact same moment, hundreds of FPV drones launched from hidden positions along the Ukrainian-controlled coastline surged toward Crimea. These fast, agile drones carried shaped charges optimized for penetrating storage bunkers and vehicle parks. Ukrainian operators, working in rotating control teams, guided the swarm with real-time video feeds. They had rehearsed control handovers extensively, switching between teams under simulated jamming to ensure the attack would continue, even if one position came under fire. Russian command in Crimea reacted with alarm. Radars lit up with contacts as the bridge attack unfolded. Air defense systems, including Panzer and Tor batteries, opened fire desperately at the incoming drones. Electronic warfare units blasted jamming signals across the peninsula, trying to blind the FPV operators. Fighter jets scrambled in the darkness. Russian officers ordered immediate dispersal of vehicles and troops, but the timing was devastating. The bridge destruction had already created panic, and now the skies were filled with screaming FPV motors. Ukrainian forward teams faced intense counterfire. Artillery and missile strikes targeted suspected control locations, forcing rapid handovers. One team transferred control of over 60 drones in under 10 seconds while evacuating their position as shells landed nearby. Another group used terrain masking and decoy emissions to keep the swarm intact. Despite heavy losses among the leading drones, the main body pressed forward, exploiting gaps created by the bridge chaos. Russian defenders were stretched. Some units were busy assessing the bridge damage, while others tried to protect the depots. The FPV drones converged on multiple weapon storage sites across Crimea. Cameras locked onto bunkers, ammunition depots, and vehicle staging areas packed with artillery shells, missiles, and fuel. One after another, drones dove in at high speed. Explosions bloomed in the night as warheads punched through reinforced structures. Secondary detonations followed, massive chain reactions that turned entire depots into infernos. Flames soared hundreds of feet high, lighting up the Crimean landscape. Thick smoke columns mixed with the glow of fires visible from miles away. Russian attempts to intercept the drones with gunfire and electronic jamming only slowed the assault. The volume and determination of the Ukrainian swarm proved overwhelming. As the bridge lay crippled, Russian forces on the peninsula found themselves in a nightmare scenario. Supply convoys that had been racing toward the bridge were now forced to turn back or wait for emergency ferries and alternative routes that were far slower and more vulnerable. Troops already stationed in Crimea faced dwindling ammunition stocks as depot after depot burned. FPV drones continued hunting smaller targets, command posts, fuel trucks, and air defense systems, keeping the pressure relentless throughout the night. By dawn, the strategic picture had shifted dramatically. The destruction of the last major Crimea-linking bridge isolated Russian forces on the peninsula, turning what was once a secure rear base into a vulnerable pocket. The simultaneous strikes on weapon storage depots depleted critical stockpiles, leaving stranded units short on the means to sustain prolonged combat or even defend themselves effectively. Russian commanders were forced to divert resources from other sectors just to manage the crisis, further weakening their overall front lines. This operation showcased Ukraine's growing mastery of asymmetric warfare, combining long-range precision strikes with cheap, massed drone swarms to achieve outsized strategic effects. By cutting the bridge and hitting the depots in one blow, Ukraine didn't just destroy infrastructure, it created a logistical chokehold that will haunt Russian planning for weeks or months to come. Crimea, once considered a safe stronghold, is now under siege from within. If you support peace and a free Ukraine, leave a comment below with your thoughts on this devastating double strike. What do you think will be the biggest challenge for Russian forces now stranded in Crimea? Hit like, share the video, and subscribe for more detailed analysis of these historic developments. Peace for Ukraine.